The governor of Busia County, that is Dr. Paul Otuoma. Basically, Governor, if you can just move here, look into the camera, share with our viewers. Raila was someone that you've worked with so long. Probably you may want to tell us what is it that you attribute mostly to Raila Odinga, and what are you going to miss mostly about him?
Yeah, as you put it very clearly, Raila has been part and parcel of our journey. When I started voting, my first vote in 1992, I voted for Raila in Langata. So we have had a very long journey. The whole of our political life, he is the only person we have known, all the way from multi-party, our university days, our political career now, and even up to the time we are going to celebrate ODM at 20. So Raila has stood for some values that this country really needed. The democratic space, accountability, the unity of preservation of the unity of the country. And definitely he has held our hand up to this point, but we still needed him, especially with the challenges that you see the country has been undergoing. I think he was still having a lot to contribute, but you know, sometimes it's God's will. The only way to make sure that we don't let him down is to make sure that his spirit continues to live with us. We should make sure that we continue to fight for Maisha Bora for Kenyans. And as you also saw, he was a Pan-Africanist. So it's not just Maisha Bora for Kenyans, but it's Maisha Bora for Africans and for the global society.
Maisha Bora comes through various reforms. What specific reform will you are mostly proud about Raila Odinga? What's that role that is so vital in your opinion?
The most vital thing that people don't realize is that the freedom we enjoy today, the democracy we enjoy, the ability to question government and to hold government to account, the building of our institutions to make sure that the assembly is working, the Senate is working, our governance, the executive is working. If you remember, even one of his last speeches that we'll remember was during the parliamentary group meeting, where he talked about, you know, our institutions being able, you know, to work on behalf of Kenyan people. If you are the Senate, please work for the people. If you are the National Assembly, please. If you are the executive, we people who are also products of devolution, which came about because of the constitution Raila fought so hard for. Devolution meant that we should be able to make decisions at local level on things that affect people on day to day. So these are kind of things that we will never be able to forget Raila when the history of this country is written. And for those of us who have worked very close with him, it's just to make sure that we keep the torch burning.
In the larger scheme of things, just paint for us a picture of what gap and void Raila leaves behind.
I think the biggest void for me now, having been our party leader, you can see, even ODM, we have to call our members to be very resilient because that gap, you know, there was no proper succession plan. So we have to reorganize ourselves to make sure that we are able to organize the party, because our politics are organized around parties, which also Raila embraced. The other one, you know that the country was undergoing still a lot of challenges, and you know the elections are not very far away. We expected that we would have healed the country and again reorganize our politics to nationalism before just now like what has happened. So that gap, you remember a lot of politicians have been saying that he has been the stabilizing force within the current government, which is also true, not just the government, but in the country. We had challenges, you remember, the other year, last year or so. But at the end of the day, we can only sort those challenges when there is a nation called Kenya. In absence of that nation called Kenya, how do we solve those challenges? And I think this is one thing that Raila was very clear about, that first of all, we must preserve the country, we must have peace, then we must have dialogue. Even you remember he was talking of the conclave. He has talked of building bridges. He has talked of the Nadiko report. All these are just efforts to make Kenyans speak. But sometimes people misconstrue them. People think sometimes it's just confrontation. No. But you remember he has been trying to initiate those negotiations and Kenyans talking to each other.
Fine. Before we get to the politics of ODM, because yesterday I saw CS Wandai also speaking to the ODM matters, but before we get into that, you've had a close relationship with Raila. From us in the public face, probably one thing that you may tell us that you think the public still doesn't know about Raila Odinga.
I think one thing that maybe the public didn't know about Raila is even the way he decided that his funeral should be conducted. Raila was a people's person, but Raila also didn't believe that, sometimes we need to burden the country. The country also, we needed to reform our lives. We need to live our lives. You need to give each one an opportunity, to grow and expand. You remember he was a very big protector of vulnerable groups, be they communities, be they the gender, be they the children. That's one thing that really softened Raila's heart wherever he was dealing with those kind of matters. So that is one thing on one side that I think sometimes people saw the tough Raila, our commander, our Baba, our leader, Jeshi la Baba. But on the other side, Raila was a family person. Raila was a very compassionate person wherever you had an issue with him. I remember when I was starting my politics, I had a lot of problems, and sometimes he could accommodate me. He could make sure that my matters get to the parliament, my issues go to court. He would hire lawyers. He would order Orengo to be my lawyers. You have had so many people, even young Kenyans, who say he paid their school fees when some of them ran into problems with the laws as they existed at that time. You remember Raila was there for them to make sure, those who are detained are released, the student movement. You have had all these things. So that was the other side of Raila, that personal touch.